And possibly I'm a little bit confused by what it means by run up right here. It doesn't have any additional checks. I mean, right now we just go straight into the taxi. I think what I was thinking of as a run up is what we just did. Run the engines up and do some ops checks. But yeah, run up right here in the manual just means to proceed straight to the taxi. But let's go ahead and go through this real quick, preparing for takeoff, and we'll just do this even though we aren't going to take off, we're just going to taxi out. I'll do all this stuff in chocks. Okay, check that all controls move freely. So, ailerons are looking good. Elevators looking good. Rudders are looking good, okay. Extend flaps, check for free aileron movement in that configuration, so let's go... Can I? Yeah, I can, I just click right there on the wheel, and then I can move, if I keep the left mouse button down, then I can still just look around and move around with the mouse. It'll still keep going until the flaps get all the way down. Now, do I have any kind of a... Yes, I do. Indicator right there. That's 20 degrees right there. So I just looked. Do I have it on both? Yes, I do. I've got an indicator right up there. It's for the degrees of flaps. So that's full down. We check ailerons in this config. Okay, good movement. Okay, so do I leave them down? Does it say? Yeah, we'll see if it... We'll see what it tells us to do for takeoff. I'll leave them down for now. Okay, set horizontal stabilizer trim to between 0 and plus 0.5 degrees. Now, that trim is this wheel. You can either click right here or right here, or you can just map it like I did to... I have it mapped to my throttle. And, okay, there's the indicator. That's a lot of attention to detail. You have all the gears and the chains that work. That's actually hard. Well, it is. It's hard to do in 3D modeling, is get something to do that, animations to work like that, and have it look convincing. So, yeah, well done there. Okay, I wanted 0 to plus 0.5, right? So just above the 0. Is that what it said? Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Okay. Check oxygen apparatus. Turn the oxygen flow valve counterclockwise. So, counterclockwise, left click, I assume. Okay, I've got an increase on this gauge, which is pressure. So I'm looking up at about 160, 155 on my pressure gauge, and that's fine. And what I'm assuming is going to happen here is that as I breathe oxygen through the oxygen gear, it looks like this could be the regulator right here, this other part of the system in blue, and this would definitely be the oxygen hose coming out of the system right here and coming up here and around here, and this is where I would hook my mask up. Yeah, I'm absolutely convinced of that now. That's what that is. So I'm not getting the blinker right here. If I were using oxygen and breathing oxygen, this indicator would be alternating white and black, but I think I'll have to, well, we'll check this more when we get into the air, but I think what's happening right now is, since the regulator is basically working off of ambient, I assume in this case, ambient air pressure, it's not going to open and allow breathing oxygen through the system until the air pressure is low enough that it decides that we need it. That's why I'm not getting the indicator blinking right here saying that I have oxygen flow. That's my theory. I think it's a pretty good theory. Now, ensure pump selector is set to P1 and P2, and that's just a verification. Yep, P1 and P2, both pumps are working. Check fuel gauge, indicates sufficient fuel. Yep, we got a full tank. Check landing gear position, indicator illuminates green. Now that'll be over here. Okay, 2 green, so that's, 2 down and locked, that's fine. Set prop pitch automation, pitot heat, and exterior lighting as needed on the circuit breaker panel. Now, okay, prop pitch we already enabled, did we not, with the... That was part of the V100. That was one of those that I read off right here. Now, it also says pitot heat. One of these is going to be pitot heat. So we have pitot windshield heating. We have nav lights. We have UV lights, or those are just interior lights. We have wing drop / ordnance. This will enable us to drop bombs if we ever get to that point here. FPG-16 and FPG-25A. This is the IFF and this is the radio. So I'll enable the radio even though we're not going to use it for this mission. IFF, yeah, I'll enable it too. nav lights and pitot heat. Yeah, why not? I'll go ahead and enable those and have a look and see how they look. Okay, just fine. Now, ensure the engine is started. Okay, turn on the radio set using the corresponding switch on the circuit breaker panel. Okay, we already got that. And we're into the taxi. Unlock the tail wheel with the tail wheel lock handle located on the left side of the cockpit. You can see the illustration there. Fully retract the flaps. Okay, let's do this in order now so that we don't miss anything. Now, tail wheel lock, or tail wheel unlock. Now, I remember actually from reading one of Chuck Cowell's guides, his method for remembering lock and unlock is L for lock, so it makes like a L shape right there. So yeah, that's locked, that's unlocked. Okay, good enough. Fully retract flaps. Okay, so yeah, just click there. I'll just keep it held and read ahead. Okay, then visually check the flap position via the right side exterior indicator. And you can see as it comes up that we get the indicator. We've already looked at that. Immediately tap the brakes as soon as the aircraft begins to move. Ensure brakes operate properly. Avoid holding the brakes for a long time to avoid overheating. And that, obviously, I've been holding the brakes the entire time, but what it means there is to, as you're on the taxi, don't overuse the brakes because, well, the brakes work off of friction, and friction generates heat, and heat next to tires and rubber and pressurized things of that nature is a bad thing to have. So, yeah, don't overuse the brakes, and when making sharp turns, increase throttle, and use the brakes to steer, and then reduce throttle. Okay, so that's flaps full up. Got it. And then we're ready for takeoff, and we'll get into that later. But now, for the purposes of this mission, all we have to do is taxi. So, let's go ahead and signal chocks out, and let us advance the throttle. Now I'm just going to control my path. Okay, good check of the brakes. Now if I wanted to turn left, just a little tap of the brakes, and then a counter tap back to the right. Okay, not that much power. And yeah, it's just going to be kind of lightly tapping to get myself pointed in the right direction, and then just counter tap in the opposite direction to straighten yourself out. Just by tap, I mean the brakes, and you can see what I'm doing down here as we go. And yeah, you need to take it slow, or I need to take it slow apparently, because it's a little more twitchy than I think it is in the, or was in the 190. So get a little bit more speed going to this. Okay, when I'm on a straightaway like this, what I can do is lock the tail wheel, and then when I straighten it back out, the tail wheel is going to lock, and now it's going to keep me going straight. The only trouble is if you then need to adjust your path, or if you want to make S-turns down the taxiway so you can see where you're going, then you have to do it with the tail wheel unlocked. And yeah, and definitely overusing the brakes, so this is going to take some getting used to on my part right now. It's definitely a little different than what I remember in the the Focke-Wulf 190. Although it has been a while, this might be the same way that it worked. Okay, let me just stop right here. Okay, that... what happened there? Was that... I'll just let 2 go by me. I'll act like I did it on purpose. It felt like... boy, it sure felt like I might have just had it going too fast, but... it sure felt like I just lost all braking authority on the right there, and I just couldn't straighten it back out. Well, anyway, I'm going to taxi on down to the end, and I'll skip ahead to that point, so be right back. Okay, I'm just going around my wingman. He's not being very cooperative at all when it comes to staying out of my way. So now I'm back out in front, and we'll continue on. Yeah, it's definitely touchy. I think a lot of what it is that I'm kind of... I think I'm, in a lot of cases, I'm kind of fighting the engine torque. The engine torque is wanting to pull me in I think to the left. That's kind of what it feels like, and that I've got more braking authority, therefore, going to the left than I do to the right. So I just need to kind of get it going and just kind of let it go using very, very small, very, very light inputs. And I think that's the trick. And also S-turns to make sure that I'm not going to run into stuff like, for example, my wingman. Now we're coming out here to the runway. And I think this is where the mission ends. Okay, got it. Okay, so that's the mission, man. That is startup and taxi. So that's going to go a lot quicker the next time that I do it. That's actually a very, very simple startup. That's something you could just jump in and do and be on your way in like a couple of minutes. I think the biggest time draw there is going to be allowing the engine to warm up. And yeah, that felt like something I could do a lot quicker. And that's the way that this goes. I mean, that's the learning process, is that you take your time the first time and make sure you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then from there, it's just going to be natural. And yeah, the next time it's just going to be jump in, start up, and taxi and take off. Hopefully. That's another story, and that's something we'll get to in the next mission. So that's going to do it for this one. And thanks again. I'll see you next time.